Before everything collapsed, before hospital hallways and funeral music, before her heart learned what it meant to break silently, Rachel was just a woman, living a good, quiet life. She woke up each day to the smell of coffee and the soft murmur of cartoons from the living room. Sean would already be up in his robe and socks flipping pancakes that were always either too burned or too soft, but Alex swore they were the best in the world. Their house was modest, 1-story, 3 bedrooms, a leaky faucet that Sean kept meaning to fix. But inside that house lived warmth. Inside that house lived laughter. And inside that house lived 3 people who made each other feel like they belonged somewhere. Sean had that easy kind of love, the type that didn't need grand gestures, just a kiss on the forehead before work, a silly text at lunch, a warm hand reaching across the couch during the evening news. He worked at the local bank, wore khakis and navy sweaters, and couldn't go a day without talking about fishing. But when he looked at Rachel, when he talked about Alex, he lit up like a man who had won the lottery every single morning. Alex was their light, a little boy with 2 big glasses and an even bigger heart. He played shortstop in Little League and insisted on wearing his baseball cap backward for good luck. He asked deep questions about stars and time and why some people cry when they're happy. At night, when the world slowed down, Rachel would tuck him in and he'd whisper, "Mom, if I have a bad dream, will you stay?" She always said yes, and she always meant it. Sundays were sacred, not for church, but for family rituals. Pajamas until noon, blanket forts, burnt popcorn, and movie marathons. They never agreed on which Harry Potter movie was best, but they always ended the night in the same pile of blankets, drifting to sleep to the sound of magic spells and each other's breathing. To anyone else, it may have looked ordinary, but for Rachel, it was everything. It was home, it was peace, it was life before life changed. And in hindsight, the most haunting thing wasn't that it ended. It was that none of them knew they were already living their last normal day. It started with good intentions, doesn't it always? When Sean inherited the downtown apartment from his grandmother, they didn't need it. They had their cozy little house, their backyard swing set, their life just the way they wanted it. So when Rachel's younger sister Vanessa said she and her new husband Kevin were struggling to save for their own place, Rachel didn't hesitate. She offered them the apartment rent-free, because that's what family does, right? Family helps family. At least that's what Rachel believed. She believed it when she quietly started paying their phone bills. She believed it when she helped cover Mom's new glasses. She believed it when Dad's truck broke down and she dipped into her savings to fix it. Rachel was the responsible daughter, the reliable one, the one who showed up, the one who didn't complain. Meanwhile, Vanessa flitted from job to job, chasing dreams she never finished. Kevin sold cars, smiled too big, and talked too loud. But Rachel smiled through it all because family meant forgiveness. Family meant support, even when the help wasn't returned, even when her own birthdays were forgotten, even when no one ever asked, "And how are you doing, Rachel?" Still, she gave. She gave time, she gave money, she gave silence when she should have spoken up. And every time she told herself, they would do the same for me if I ever needed them. She truly believed that, until the day she actually did. It didn't happen all at once. There was no explosion, no confrontation, just little things, like when Rachel realized Vanessa still hadn't thanked her for the apartment, even after 6 months of living there rent-free. Or when Mom asked if Rachel could just cover the grocery bill this month again. Or when Kevin started referring to the apartment as our place at family dinners, as if it had always belonged to him. They were small moments, but they landed like paper cuts. Subtle, annoying, easy to ignore, until they weren't. Rachel brushed it off. "This is just what family does," she'd whisper to herself. "They're going through a tough time. They'll pay it forward someday." But still, there were birthdays missed, hers, phone calls that went unanswered unless someone needed something, Christmas gifts that felt more like obligations than love. Rachel once lent Vanessa $300 to fix her car. The repayment never came. Instead, Vanessa posted Instagram photos of a spa weekend getaway. When Rachel asked gently about the money, Vanessa laughed. "You're not gonna make a big deal over $300, are you?" Rachel smiled. But inside, something pulled tight, like a thread unraveling from a sweater, slow, barely noticeable, but sure. Still, she didn't speak up, because that's what families do. They forgive, they excuse, they hope, even when that hope starts to ache. January 14th, a Saturday. Cold air, warm coffee, and nothing out of the ordinary. Sean were already up before sunrise, buzzing like a kid before Christmas. Alex raced around the house in his boots, loading the tackle box like it was a military mission. Fishing day. They had been planning it all week, checking the weather, organizing bait, even naming the fish they hoped to catch. Alex had dubbed one Sir Wriggles. Sean laughed so hard he nearly dropped the thermos. Rachel packed sandwiches. Ham and cheese, Alex's favorite. 2 apples, a brownie. A handwritten note tucked in the side pocket that read, "Come back with fish, but come back safe. Love, Mom." At 8:07 a.m., she kissed them both goodbye, watched the truck disappear down the street, and smiled. That was the last time Rachel saw her husband alive, and the last time she saw her son awake. The rest of the day was calm, quiet, laundry, groceries, a little cleaning. She marinated chicken for dinner, vacuumed the hallway, folded the towels perfectly the way Sean liked them. 6 p.m. She checked the driveway. Empty. She wasn't worried. Not yet. 6:30. Still nothing. She texted, called, straight to voicemail. 7:15. Pacing. 8 p.m. The fear started creeping in slow, like cold water under a closed door. Then, at 8:51 p.m., the doorbell rang. Rachel walked to the door, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She thought it might be them keys forgotten again, probably laughing on the porch. But when she opened the door, 2 police officers were standing there, hats in hand, faces carved from stone. And in that instant, Rachel knew. "Mrs. Clark," the officer began, his voice low and heavy, as if every word he said would break her just a little more. "There was an accident." Rachel's breath caught in her throat. Everything inside her went still. They were driving back from Willow Lake. Around 6:15, a drunk driver ran a red light. His voice blurred after that. Rachel only heard pieces. "Side impact. Driver's side. Your husband died at the scene." The room tilted. It was like gravity shifted sideways, like the earth itself refused to hold her. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no, not Sean, not her husband. Not the man who kissed her goodbye just this morning and said, 'We'll bring back dinner and maybe a fish story.' He was alive this morning. He had a thermos in one hand and Alex's backpack in the other. Dead. It didn't compute. What about my son?" Rachel choked out the words. Her mouth was dry, her hands shaking. The other officer, standing near the door, stepped forward. "Your son is alive," he said carefully, "but he's in critical condition. He has severe head trauma. They've taken him to St. Luke's. He's in surgery." Rachel didn't remember standing up, or grabbing her coat, or walking to the cruiser, but she remembered the drive, the silence, the way the world outside looked exactly the same, people driving, lights changing, life continuing, while hers had just exploded. At the hospital, the fluorescent lights were too bright. The waiting room chairs were too stiff. Time stretched like rubber bands ready to snap. Doctors spoke a language she couldn't understand. Induced coma, intracranial pressure, traumatic brain injury. Rachel nodded at everything and understood none of it. She just wanted one thing, to see Alex. When she finally did, her heart cracked wide open, her little boy bandaged, bruised, unrecognizable. Machines beeped beside him like morbid lullabies. Tubes snaked in and out of his fragile body. She reached for his hand. It didn't move. She called his name. He didn't answer. She whispered, "I'm here, baby. Mommy's here. You can rest now. Just stay. Stay with me." But Alex was somewhere else, somewhere no mother could follow. And Rachel, she stood there, in a world now split into two, before the accident and after. It was nearly midnight when Rachel called her parents. She could barely form words. Her voice was soaked in tears, but she managed to say, "Sean is dead. Alex, he's in a coma." There was a pause. Then Mom said softly, "Oh, Rachel, we'll be right there." And they did come. The next morning. Not that night. Not in the chaos. Not in the panic. They came after breakfast. Dressed, clean, composed. Rachel was sitting in the ICU waiting area, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling from too much coffee and too little sleep. Dad hugged her like she was made of glass. One arm, light, awkward. Mom patted her shoulder. Not held, not embraced, just patted. Like a stranger giving sympathy to a coworker. They asked a few questions, nodded solemnly, and after exactly 1 hour, Mom glanced at her watch. "We should get home," she said. "We need to help Vanessa move this weekend. You know how stressed she gets." Rachel blinked. "Move? You're worried about furniture? She's your sister, Rachel, and we've already committed." They left. Rachel sat alone again in a hospital full of people, but suddenly it felt empty. Not because Sean was gone, not even because Alex was slipping further away, but because for the first time she felt the full weight of abandonment. Vanessa never called, never texted, not even a "how's Alex?" The silence wasn't loud, it was cutting, and that's when the first fracture in Rachel's belief formed. Family doesn't always show up, and when they don't, you start to wonder if they were ever really there to begin with. The hospital became her second home. The sound of heart monitors, her new soundtrack. The sterile smell of antiseptic, her new normal. Every morning, Rachel went to work. Half days only, her company was understanding. She'd sit in front of spreadsheets and ledgers, trying to stay focused, pretending numbers mattered when her whole world was asleep in a hospital bed. At noon, she'd drive straight to St. Luke's. Same parking spot, same elevator, same hallway. Room 412. Alex's room. She talked to him like he could hear. Because maybe he could. She read to him Harry Potter, mostly, but also his math homework. And sometimes, just silly things she found in the newspaper. She'd hold his hand, stroke his hair, tell him about the weather, the birds outside, the neighbor's dog. "You're doing so well in math," she whispered once. "Your teacher's saving all your homework. Says she knows you'll catch up when you wake up." Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she just sat quietly beside him. But she never missed a day. Not one. Every beep on the monitor felt like a heartbeat of hope. Every breath he took, a small miracle. No one else came. Not Vanessa, not her parents. Just Rachel, and the machines, and the silence. But she stayed, because she was his mother, and mothers don't leave, even when everyone else does. They didn't ask about Alex, not once. In the first few weeks after the accident, Rachel kept expecting her phone to ring. Her mom, her dad, her sister. Some small voice checking in, asking how the surgery went, asking how she was holding up. But the phone stayed silent until the bills came due. That's when the messages started. "Rachel, did you see the electric bill? It jumped this month." "Hey, can you still cover Dad's insurance this quarter?" "Vanessa's phone got cut off. Can you sort that out?" No one asked how Rachel was sleeping, or if she was eating, or how it felt to sit for hours next to a child who might never wake up. They just needed things. Netflix passwords, grocery cards, help moving a dresser. Rachel answered every message, with grace, with patience. But something inside her was changing. Not anger, not yet, just a quiet ache. The realization that when you're no longer useful to people, you become invisible. It was a Tuesday morning. The sky was gray. Rain tapped against her windshield as Rachel pulled into the office. She wasn't ready for anything, but she went anyway. Because bills still came, because life cruelly didn't stop. Her phone rang at 10:12 a.m. Dr. Murphy, St. Luke's. Her voice was soft, too soft. "Mrs. Clark, I need you to come in right away." Rachel didn't ask questions. She didn't scream. She just drove, in silence. One hand on the wheel, the other clutching the steering wheel so tight her knuckles turned white. At the hospital, Dr. Murphy met her in the hallway, eyes red, hands folded. "I'm so sorry. Alex passed away about an hour ago. His body just couldn't fight anymore." Rachel stumbled backward. The world spun. She gripped the wall like it might hold her together. "But he was stable yesterday," she whispered. "He looked the same. He looked okay." Dr. Murphy's voice cracked. "Sometimes when brain injuries are that severe, the body just lets go." Rachel walked into room 4112 one last time. Her son was still there, still small, still hers, but something was missing. The warmth, the flicker of life, the fight. She sat beside him, ran her fingers through his hair, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "You can rest now, baby. I love you so much." And then she walked out, into a world that would never be the same. She went home and sat in silence. She cried until there were no more tears. And when her chest hurt too much to breathe, she picked up the phone. She called her mother. "Mom, Alex died this morning." There was a pause. Then the voice on the other end replied, flat and distant, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but we can't help with the funeral. We're flying to Mexico tomorrow." Rachel didn't respond. She couldn't. Something inside her just shut down. Rachel sat at her kitchen table, staring into the untouched cup of tea that had gone cold hours ago. The house was still, too still. There were no beeping machines, no nurses, no quiet hum of hope, just absence and silence. And the kind of grief that crushes your lungs with every breath. She had just buried her son, alone, and somehow she was expected to keep functioning. She reached for her phone, not because she wanted comfort, she knew better by now, but because she needed help, just once. She dialed Vanessa. Her hands shook as the phone rang. One ring, two, three. Vanessa picked up. "Hey, Rachel, I heard about Alex. I'm sorry, I guess." Her voice was flat, not broken, not maternal. "Not human," Rachel whispered. "I need help with the funeral." Pause. "The funeral?" Vanessa repeated, almost annoyed. "Rachel, I'm pregnant, okay? This trip to Mexico is probably my last break before the baby comes." Rachel blinked. She didn't understand. Vanessa continued, "Look, I know it's sad, but your son dying, that's your problem, not mine." It hit Rachel like a slap, sharp, sudden, unforgivable. Her voice cracked. "He was your nephew." Vanessa sighed. "Don't make me feel guilty, Rachel. I've been looking forward to this trip for months. I'm not going to cancel it just because your kid died." "Just because your kid died." Rachel froze. The world fell silent again, and this time, not from shock, from clarity. Thursday morning, cloudy skies, a light wind brushing through the trees like whispered goodbyes. Alex's funeral was small, quiet, too quiet. There were no flowers from his grandparents, no condolences from his aunt, no messages, no cards, no apologies, just absence. Rachel stood in black, still, like marble. A few of Sean's co-workers came. So did Alex's favorite teacher, Mrs. Davis, who drove nearly an hour to be there. A couple of neighbors, one friend from Little League. That was it. No mother, no father, no sister. Rachel tried not to look at the empty chairs, but they screamed anyway. She listened to the pastor speak of peace of heaven, of eternal rest, while her heart bled silence. When they lowered the small white casket into the ground, Rachel held her breath, as if breathing might break her completely. In that moment, she didn't feel human. She felt like a shadow, watching a scene she couldn't stop, couldn't rewind, couldn't believe. Somewhere, a phone buzzed in her pocket, a notification. Vanessa had posted a photo on Instagram, she and Kevin smiling. Sun behind them, cocktails in hand. Caption, "So grateful to be here with my amazing family. Beach days are the best days." Rachel turned off her phone, and in the echoing quiet of the cemetery, she whispered 3 words. Not to her family, not to God, but to herself. Never again. Never. 3 days after the funeral, Rachel didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't write a long letter. She didn't call anyone. She just got in her car and drove downtown. To the apartment, the one she had given to Vanessa and Kevin, the one she'd let them live in rent-free, the one that had once been a gift of love. Now, it was just a reminder of betrayal. Rachel unlocked the door, walked in. Silence, no one home, no warning. And she began, one box at a time. Clothes, shoes, kitchenware, photos from the walls, the ugly lamp Kevin's mom gave them, everything. Neatly packed, labeled, stacked. She didn't break anything. She didn't throw a single item. She just erased them from that space. By noon, movers arrived. Rachel had paid them extra same-day pickup. She gave one simple instruction: take everything to this address, her parents' house. Boxes, bags, furniture, all of it was dumped unceremoniously in the middle of their living room. Then she called a locksmith. New locks, new deadbolts, new beginning. By 5 p.m., the apartment no longer belonged to Vanessa and Kevin, not even by memory. Then Rachel went home. She sat down at her laptop, logged into her online banking, and began to cut the cords. Dad's car insurance? Canceled. Mom's health supplement? Canceled. Netflix? Gone. Vanessa's phone plan? Terminated. Kevin's gym membership she'd paid as a wedding gift? Closed. The joint grocery account? Deleted. And as she clicked cancel again and again, Rachel didn't feel cruel. She felt clean. She realized she had been paying over $3,000 a month for people who didn't bother to show up at her son's funeral, and now they would feel her absence the way she had felt theirs. The yelling started before they even got to the door. Rachel heard the cars in her driveway, tires screeching, doors slamming. Then came the voices. "Rachel, what the hell is this? Open the door! You can't do this to us!" Fists pounded on the wood. The door shook. Lights from her porch flickered across angry faces. Vanessa, Kevin, her mother, her father. Rachel stood in the hallway, heart still, eyes dry. For once, she wasn't the one crumbling. She walked to the door, opened it slowly, and said, "Come in. Let's do this." They stormed inside like a pack of wolves that smelled entitlement. Vanessa was the first to speak. "Our stuff is everywhere. Why would you dump it at Mom and Dad's house? We can't even get into our apartment. You changed the locks." Rachel looked at her calmly. "It's not your apartment. It never was. I let you live there. That's over now." Kevin looked down, said nothing. Dad's voice cracked with tension. "Rachel, this isn't how family treats each other." Rachel's laugh was soft, not bitter, not cruel, just exhausted. "No, Dad. Family doesn't leave someone to bury their child alone. Family doesn't choose the beach over a funeral." Mom stepped forward, trying to smooth things over. "We know you're hurting." But Rachel cut her off. "No, I was hurting. Now I'm done." Vanessa stepped forward. "You can't just throw a pregnant woman out on the street." Rachel didn't flinch. "You threw me out emotionally the moment you told me Alex's death was my problem. Remember that?" The room went still. Even Kevin looked at Vanessa stunned. Vanessa's voice rose. "This isn't fair. You're just jealous because I'm having a baby and you're not." And that's when it happened, the line that ended everything. Rachel leaned in slightly, eyes locked, voice calm. "Don't ever use my son's death as your weapon again." Silence. Vanessa looked away. Mom wiped her eyes. Dad finally sat down like all the air had left his body. And Rachel, she stood tall. Not out of rage, not out of pride. Out of something deeper. Clarity. Rachel had had enough. She stepped forward. Her voice didn't shake. Her hands didn't tremble. "Let's stop pretending," she said. Everyone froze. "Let's call it what it is. You chose cocktails over a funeral, sand over a child's grave, Mexico over my son." Her mother looked away, her father sighed. But Rachel wasn't done. She turned to Vanessa. "You moved into the apartment I gave you, never paid a cent. I paid your bills, your phone, your groceries, even your prenatal vitamins." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Wow, martyr much?" Rachel didn't blink. "When Sean died, you didn't even send flowers. When Alex was in the ICU, you went silent. And when he died, you said it was my problem. You didn't just abandon me, you erased my son." Vanessa crossed her arms, voice rising. "You know what this is really about? You're jealous. Jealous that I'm about to have a baby and yours is 6 feet under." Silence. No one spoke. Even Kevin stepped back, horrified. Rachel's face didn't move, but her voice was ice. "Get out." Vanessa smirked, but there was fear behind it. "You can't erase me." Rachel stepped forward. "I already did." 3 days after the confrontation, Rachel's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, emails, mentions, DMs. Vanessa had gone public. She posted on Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. "My sister kicked me out while I was pregnant. She's unstable. She locked me out of my own home with no warning. After losing her child, she became cold, bitter, and cruel. She needs help." Photos of her crying, a bump shot in front of a suitcase, dramatic captions. Family should help each other, not destroy each other. And then came her mother, commenting on every post. "We raised her better than this." I don't know who she's become. Rachel watched in silence. Strangers flooded her inbox. "How could you treat your family like that? You're heartless. Your poor pregnant sister." Rachel didn't reply. She didn't explain. Because deep down, she knew. A lie needs a crowd, but truth only needs a moment. It started with a single comment. Under Vanessa's tear-filled video, someone wrote, "I was at the funeral. You weren't." Silence. Then another. "I work with Rachel. She buried her son alone while you were in Mexico, posting margaritas." And then Alex's teacher posted, "I taught her son. Rachel read to him every night at the ICU. She never missed a day. She loved him more than words could explain. Anyone calling her heartless doesn't know her or is lying." The dam broke. Hundreds, then thousands of comments poured in. This is the woman who paid her family's bills for years. She protected her sister even when it hurt her. You don't get to rewrite history just because you're louder. Vanessa's post stopped trending. Her followers disappeared. And Rachel, she posted one single line. No hashtags, no filter, just the truth. "You chose the beach over my son." It went viral in under an hour. She didn't shout, she didn't explain, she didn't post a thread or a story or a video. She wrote one sentence. "Yes, I buried my son alone because my family chose Mexico over his funeral." That was it. No emojis, no hashtags, no dramatic punctuation. And yet, the internet went quiet. The truth didn't need decoration. Within minutes, people began reposting it, sharing it, quoting it. Her words spread faster than Vanessa's lies ever had. Some tried to delete their comments. Others apologized. Some simply went silent. Vanessa took the video down. Her mother removed every post. But it was too late, because that one sentence, those 17 words, did what no argument ever could. It restored her son's dignity and Rachel's name. She didn't leave in rage. She didn't slam any doors. She simply packed her suitcase. No one begged her to stay. No one even noticed the moving truck. Rachel listed the apartment online, the same apartment where Vanessa once lounged with iced coffee on Rachel's dime, mocking her behind closed doors. Gone. She booked a one-way flight. Barcelona, then Kyoto, then the Northern Lights, because Alex had always wanted to see them. She took Sean's old journal and Alex's favorite book. For the first time in years, she wasn't carrying her family's weight, only her own. And for the first time in her life, that was enough. She smiled, gently, quietly, but it was real. Rachel's voice was soft now, not filled with bitterness, not heavy with regret. She sat by a window, sunlight filtering through the curtains, her eyes distant but calm. I miss the family I thought I had. The dinners, the birthdays, the laughter. But that family, it never really existed. She paused, took a deep breath. Real family is not about blood. It's about those who choose to stand by you when you need them the most. Her hands rested on the pages of Sean's journal. I lost a lot, but I found something too. A smile touched her lips. Not a smile of joy, but a smile of freedom. For the first time, I am free, free from the past. Free to build a life full of love with those who truly want me in theirs. And with that, Rachel closed the journal. She looked out the window and breathed. Family isn't always blood. It's who shows up when the world falls apart. These words hold a truth that many of us learn too late. Rachel's journey reminds us that family is not a title we inherit, but a bond we build through presence, through love, through choice. In the darkest moments, when everything seems lost, it is the people who stand by us, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care, who become our true family. Rachel's story is one of heartbreak, yes, but also of awakening, of reclaiming power from pain, of choosing to walk away from toxicity and finding freedom on the other side. Her courage teaches us that letting go is not defeat. It is the first step toward healing, toward peace, toward a life defined not by what we lost, but by who we become. So to anyone listening struggling with broken ties or bitter wounds, you are not alone. You deserve to be surrounded by those who truly want you. And sometimes that means saying goodbye to those who don't. Because family isn't just the people who share your blood. Family is the people who show up when the world falls apart, and that makes all the difference. Life teaches us a powerful truth. Family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. Sometimes the people you expect to lean on are the ones who let you down. And that's okay, because it opens space for those who truly care to step in. Don't be afraid to let go of toxic relationships, even if they're tied by family. Instead, hold close those who bring you love, respect, and support. That's the real family worth keeping. If Rachel's story touched your heart, help Whispers of Life spread messages of hope, strength, and resilience. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story that inspires and empowers. And please share this video with your friends and loved ones, because sometimes one story can change everything. Thanks for being part of Whispers of Life, where hearts find comfort and courage to keep going.